Alright, so X-Men-97 had its finale last week, so I thought right now would be the perfect time for me to talk about just how good the show was in general. I'm gonna just go over the stuff I liked and the stuff I didn't like. I'm gonna talk about whether it's a masterpiece or not, or like whether it's the best thing Marvel has ever done. And I'm gonna compare it to other Marvel shows as well, like the animated stuff. So yeah, let's talk about it.
To me, my X-Men.
Alright, so one of the things I loved, that everybody loved, was Cyclops. My boy Cyclops. I have never been a Cyclops fan, alright? I never cared for Cyclops. But this show made me the biggest Cyclops fan there is. I wanna read Cyclops comics. I wanna buy Cyclops merchandise. Alright? This show literally legit made me a Cyclops fan. And honestly, I can't say that about the Fox X-Men movies. Those movies did nothing for my boy. Alright? This show just saved Cyclops as a whole. Honestly, the biggest problem with it is probably that it doesn't have enough Cyclops. It needed more Cyclops. If it had more Cyclops, it will probably be a masterpiece. But since it doesn't have enough Cyclops, it's not a masterpiece. But yeah, Cyclops, top notch. Go with it, for sure.
He starts up again.
No, don't! I surrender! Not.
And another thing I really liked was the main villain, Bastion. I think that's his name. That's how you say it. I don't know. He was a really cool villain. When I was watching the show, and I think it was like episode 7 when he showed up, I had no idea who he was. He legit just came out of nowhere, and for some reason I just liked him. Like, what? Like, he was a really cool villain. I feel like, yeah, he was dope. The only problem really was that I feel like kind of took that spotlight from Mr. Sinister, because as someone who didn't even finish watching the OG show, I feel like for me it did feel like he came out of nowhere somehow. Like when I was watching the show, I thought Mr. Sinister was gonna be the main villain, but then this guy came out of nowhere and he's actually been the big bad pulling the strings this whole time. For me, it felt like it came out of nowhere because I didn't really watch the OG show or read the comics, so I didn't really know he was there the whole time. But yeah, he was a cool villain. He was dope. I hope he's not dead. He shows up in season 2. But yeah, Bastion, he was definitely one of the best parts about the show. But one of the worst parts will probably be the like some of the couple episodes. I might get to that in a moment. Alright, another thing I really liked was the Cyclops, Jean, and Cable stuff. I feel like the family stuff of them was really good. It added heart to the story, to the season. It was some really good stuff. It added more character to the characters and more depth, and especially with Cable. And yeah, the show, yeah, it was like an origin of Cable too. We saw him in episode 3, then we saw him again in like episode 7, I think it was. So yeah, that stuff was really good.
They're good eyes.
And now they're yours. I love you, son.
But one thing I feel like the show didn't do that good was Wolverine. Now Wolverine definitely had his moments. He was cool, but I feel like they definitely should have done a little bit more. Like, they should have had him do more, whether it was in action or in story. I get that Wolverine has basically been the face of the franchise for 20 years and has basically overshadowed everyone else, and it's time for the other characters to get their spotlight. I get that, but Wolverine has still been the face of the franchise for 20 years. He's arguably the most popular X-Men character of all time. I feel like they definitely should have done more with him. Now he definitely has his cool moments when like in episode 9 or when he almost kills Magneto. That was definitely awesome. But like I feel like I really wanted to watch him do more, whether it was in action or in story. I feel like they definitely should have given him a bit of a bigger role, because he definitely just felt like sidelined. He didn't really do anything until like the final couple episodes. He had his cool moments here and there, but yeah. Because like Wolverine's still my favorite X-Men. I feel like he should have, honestly, Wolverine's one of my favorite characters of all time. He should have done a little bit more, but honestly, I'm not complaining. We're gonna have a whole movie about him this summer, so it's fine, I guess. Moving on, I guess.
Let's fucking go! Let's fucking go.
Another one of my biggest problems is probably just that some episodes are kind of mediocre episodes. Like, let's go over, okay, episode 1, it was like a good 7 out of 10. It was a good reintroduction into this world, into these characters, but it wasn't really anything amazing. It was a good episode though. Episode 2, that was a great episode. I really liked that episode. It's Magneto, come on, it was great. But episode 3, ooh, that one, That one had some cool aspects. It had some cool stuff in it, but overall, it's almost mediocre. It's like a 6 or 7 out of 10. That episode, honestly, it was the first time I watched the show, and it had me a bit conflicted on how I felt about the episode. Because I don't know. Because yeah, I talked about it before. It just rushed so much story into one episode. There was some cool stuff in it, but yeah, it was alright. Episode four, episode four was one of the first episodes that was just kind of like, it was just kind of boring for me. The Jubilee stuff was just kind of like, oh, whatever, and the Storm stuff, I just couldn't find myself intrigued or connected with as much as the actual X-Men stuff, like with the rest of the team. But episode five, now that's the episode. Oh, that's the episode that I actually really, really started loving the show. That episode was amazing. That episode legit had my jaw dropped. That episode, I did not expect that episode to be that good. That episode was great. That episode had everything in it. It had drama, it had love, it had action, it had freaking everything you could ask for in anything. It was great. That was a great episode. Episode 6. This is my problem also with the show. How do you go from like an amazing episode 5, 10 out of 10 episode, and then you go to another mediocre episode in episode 6? Like, how do you go from such an amazing episode into like a mediocre story? Episode 6 is probably my least favorite episode. That episode, I don't know why, but the opening, the dialogue, the writing is just bad. I don't know why. Maybe it's just me, but I just didn't like it. I didn't like the dialogue. I didn't like any of the Charles stuff.
Into alliance with his inferior homeworld. Xavier would see his Milky Way ghetto become our new throne world. To ensure we are protected from your Terran ties, Charles Xavier must purge all memories of Earth and you.
The Storm stuff was a bit better because they had the bird guy, whatever the guy's name is, and that guy in it. It had like him kind of like tormenting Storm. That was good. But the Charles Xavier stuff was just so bad, bro. I did not like that at all. It's probably because I didn't finish the OG show. I didn't remember anything from it. But yeah, that episode, that half of that episode is just so. Now we get to like episode 7 and like basically the final couple episodes. The final couple episodes were good. Those were some great episodes. I feel like that's when the show finally started kicking, full cylinder, finally going. Because episode 5, it was great. It hit all cylinders. But then you go from episode 5 to 6. But from episode 7, you go from episode 7 all the way to episode 10. And all those episodes are great. I think all those episodes are good episodes.
It's so beautiful.
It's probably my biggest problem with the show. Like I said, was the rush story and like some mediocre episodes. But overall, this show was good. I wouldn't call it a masterpiece because I feel like a masterpiece. I feel like for me, there are only two things I will call a masterpiece: Red Dead 2 and like the first couple seasons of SpongeBob. That is it. Nothing else is a masterpiece in my personal opinion. I feel like a masterpiece is something that a medium, a game, a show, or movie that you play or watch. And when you play or watch, or when you finish, playing or watching it, it's something that when you finish it, you see absolutely nothing wrong with it. There's nothing you could change. There's nothing that anybody could change that could make it any better than the way it already was. And for this show, I feel like there's definitely some things that could have been changed, or some things that could have been way better. So I feel like that's why it's not a masterpiece. But overall, it's just a really good show. I'm planning right now. I'm rewatching the OG show, so I feel like if I rewatched the OG show and then I go back to the X-men-97, I might like it a bit more. I might understand it a bit more. So yeah, I feel like right now it's definitely not the best Marvel animated show. I feel like Earth's Mightiest Heroes, Spectacular Spider-Man, and 90s Spider-Man are better. Even probably like maybe even X-Men Evolution and Wolverine and the X-Men might be better. Honestly, I just have to rewatch it again to really get that full, that full thing to see if how much I really do like it. But right now, I'll probably give the whole show overall probably an 8 out of 10. It was a good show. I liked it. Can't wait for season 2. Season 2 has a lot of potential, especially with Apocalypse and Gambit coming back as the Horseman of Death. I feel like that's definitely some cool stuff. But now that I'm done talking about X-Men-97, I want to talk about something else. So if you want to stick with me, I'm gonna talk about something that I feel like I'm excited about, if it happens or not. But I'm gonna just talk about it right now, and that is Spider-Man 98. Spider-Man the animated series, bro. I love that show. I grew up. I remember being 4 years old, going onto YouTube, searching up Spider-Man, and watching as many clips or episodes I could of that show. That show was the thing, bro. That show. Oh my goodness, bro. If I hear that theme song play again in a year or two with modern animation, I'm gonna cry. I'm gonna start crying, bro. That's something that, bro, if that happens, wow, Spider-Man, like, when he came back in this show, bro, you're giving me hope, man. This show is giving me hope for something that might not even happen. I don't know why they're doing this to me, alright? But yeah, we also found out that he found that MJ after 30 years, after wondering that question, he found MJ. I don't know why he was just standing there. I mean, he probably could have helped out a bit, but whatever. But I also want to talk about like the cameos and the universe. Not gonna lie, bro, Marvel has a rare opportunity to tell another tell basically they have another cinematic universe in their hands, bro. They have another cinematic universe in their hands in animation with the 90s stuff. They could legit tell more comic book accurate storylines in this universe. Like, they could do Avengers versus X-Men, they could do Civil War, they could do the Infinity Gauntlet story, like, more accurate with the Avengers, Fantastic Four, and the X-Men all together instead of just the Avengers. Like, this has a lot of potential. Like, you could make shows about Spider-Man, Iron Man. You could basically bring back all the 90s shows from the past, and then you can have them all cross over. Like, that would be amazing. That would be so dope if that happens. But yeah, Spider-Man 98, if that happens, I don't know, I'll do like 5,000 push-ups in one day or something. I don't know, I'll do something like that. Because I don't know if that's gonna happen really. It's probably gonna happen like in 2 or 3 years if it were to happen. But even if maybe not, it will probably happen after X-Men-97 like concludes his whole story, like his series finale. But yeah, it would be dope if it happens. X-Men 97 was really good, and it did have a lot of it had a high ratings. People liked it, so I feel like since people really liked it, I feel like it's basically us telling Marvel that we want Spider-Man back. Yeah, it would be dope. But overall, that's it I have right now. That's all I have. Make sure to subscribe, I guess. So yeah, bye.